So let's start talking about the bar, shall we? So I'm going to be explaining a little bit about the bar, my own personal opinion. I'm not going to just make a video and just say, oh yes, this character just do this and this better, because I barely have any experience. I haven't used this character in like Geotopside and game content, but just looking at the stats and just doing testing with this character already here in the test server, and also looking at the patch note, which I'll leave in the description down below, and it's very well detailed. I can actually safely just give like some form of opinion with this character and just think where this character is going to be at its best. Yeah, I'm going to be explaining pretty much a little bit of how does it work, and then just giving my own personal opinion on every single thing and what I like to see in order to be improved upon. First and foremost, I'm going to be mentioning that this is a magic damage character, even though it is going to be a fist type character. As you clearly can see, the fist, it says magic damage. If I go into my inventory, you can actually see that all of my fists are also going to be magic damage. But if I swap into Vanguardian, all of them are going to transform immediately into physical damage. So even though it is a fist type character, it will be using magic damage as its main damage source. So keep that in mind. That's number one. Number two is that the goal of this character. The goal of this character is just going to be that it's mainly going to be a support type character. So being a support type character, it means that the damage multiplier, the damage in general, is not going to be at its best. It's going to be mainly as a utility type character, which in a lot of MMORPG, it does work, but in Trove it doesn't work as much, because considering how fast paced this game really is, generally a lot of characters really don't need support unless the support is just extremely overpowered. And which from the looks of it, the support is still not enough to make this character just a great support type character. It's still there, the mechanics are still there, but it really doesn't make the character really good as a support type character. In order to make it like a really good support character, you need to give enough damage to other players or enough DPS to other players that it actually can replace one high DPS type character. For example, the support has to be strong enough that it actually counts as a more than one gunslinger or chloromancer, to something to that extent, just to make it a really good support type character for, you know, for bossing and stuff like that. But as of right now, it doesn't do that. It doesn't grant enough damage or enough of anything to just warrant as a really good support type character. So yeah, that is actually the main goal of this character, but yeah, it really is not that good in terms of support. Now let's start talking about the character as an overall in general. So I will be going first and foremost with the basic attack. The basic attack that you're seeing right here is with the class gem ability. Without the class gem ability, it's literally half the range. So keep that in mind whenever you're seeing this basic attack. So this basic attack is alright. It's pretty weak on its own, but you can get it to be really strong because of the passive ability. But normally, for the most part, you will be using this version of this basic attack unless you can get a lot of melodies, which can actually increase your basic attack damage by quite a lot, and making it your main DPS source with this character. But as of right now, this is the basic attack that you should be using. With the class gem ability, it has 6 block range and it does 1.5. And in terms of attacks per second, I don't know how much it is, but it looks to be on the slower side. So this is going to work similar to like the Pirate Captain basic attack. So if you want a good comparison with this basic with the class gem, it's going to be like, it is very similar to the Pirate Captain. So it's going to dish out pretty much the same damage. It has the same range. It has the same crowd control, and both of them are just very slow basics. So the basic attack is not necessarily good on its own unless you have a lot of melodies, which you can just get them with your ultimate ability, which I'll just explain once I start talking about the ult. But yeah, on its own, the basic attack, this basic is just going to be meh. Then it's going to be Nimble Dance, which is the first ability that you do have with this character. This ability is pretty weak on its own as well. It only does 2 times damage multiplier, which is not good. So, and it also has a cooldown. It costs energy. It reduces your movement speed by nothing. But the only good thing is just going to be that the crowd control seems to be pretty decent, but the range is pretty terrible. And also it gives you a 1-second invulnerability. In my opinion, I do believe that this is going to be a really good utility type ability. The only thing that I would probably say is just going to be, just make it so that it doesn't cost any energy upon casting, because it's a cooldown based ability. And also the thing is, it's just going to be whenever you use this ability, you reduce your movement speed by like nothing. So if we move on to something like this, I am running a 92 base movement speed, but whenever I activate my ability, I go down to 9. So it reduces your movement speed by 90%. So yeah, pretty much it makes you like super extremely slow. I don't know why it reduces the movement speed by 90%. In my opinion, it should not reduce the movement speed whatsoever. It should be just similar to like the Shadow Flip from the Neon Ninja, which pretty much doesn't reduce any movement speed, and it gives you a little bit of backwards momentum. In terms of survivability, it's a good ability. Crowd control is decent, damage is low, is a meh ability, and which is a thing that you're going to see very commonly with this character. Since the main goal is just to be, like I just mentioned, a support type character, all the damage multiplier seems to be rather low. And then if we move on into this version, which is just going to be the crystal or singing crystal, if you want to look at it that way. Singing crystal is this character's strongest ability that isn't just the basic attack with 11 melodies. It can be a good ability because you can just immediately throw it down and then just detonate it if the cooldown is just reduced to 0. But yeah, same problem as the first ability. First of all, it has a cooldown and it also has an energy cost, and to top it all off, this ability does really low damage, and that is not a good thing, because if you want to make this ability as a cooldown based ability, just reduce the energy cost. It already has like drawback, quote unquote, the drawback of this ability, but to top it all out, you give it energy reduction, and even more so, it pretty much only does 2.5 times damage multiplier. Damage multiplier is, again, extremely low. It does the same damage as the basic attack from the knight, while having a cooldown, while having energy cost. My suggestion with this ability for now, it also can give you like the buff with the ult, but I'll get more into that once I start talking about the ult. But my opinion is just going to be, again, either remove the cooldown or remove the energy cost of this ability. You shouldn't have both of them. This ability should have a higher damage multiplier, at least a 4.5, so it does have a decent damage multiplier ability, like for example like the Fate Trickster's Glitter Ball or the Burn Offering from the Draco, which both of them does 4.5. So this one doing the same amount of damage as those will be pretty nice. With that, and also the removal of either energy cost or also the removal or cooldown, I will probably say just remove the energy cost, because ult requires a lot of energy to cast, so might as well just to make it a little bit better. Will be like if they just remove the energy cost completely with this ability and just increase the damage to 4.5. I'll probably say also make it so that always whenever you throw it down, you can just immediately detonate it, because sometimes it doesn't allow you to detonate it immediately. So in my opinion, it should allow you to at least detonate it immediately when you throw it down. So that will be probably a little bit better, and as soon as it detonates, you know, you have like a little bit of cooldown, so you cannot throw it down all over again. So in my opinion, that should be like the way to go with this ability, because as of right now, having not only one, it has two cooldown and also the damage, like the energy reduction, while only doing like 2.5. Yeah, it's not good. And so that's my suggestion with that ability right now. So as you clearly can see, pretty much all of the things on this character are very weak. So this is not particularly a strong character. But once we move on into the ult, the ultimate ability is the meat and bones with this character. It's like the main portion of this character. What does it make, like, where do you see like this character at its best? It's going to be with his ultimate ability. So allow me to explain the ultimate ability. Ultimate ability pretty much just transforms you. It's like a transformation or buff type ability, similar to like the Avatar of Flame from Draco, similar to pretty much most of the transformation, like the ultimate ability from the Dino Tamer or something like that. It gives you like a buff. That buff will allow you to just get a lot of different things. So first and foremost, let me just explain to you what is that bar that you see down below. That bar that you see above of the hot bar that you see on all of your abilities, that is going to be your melody count. That is going to be part of your passive ability. So what it does is pretty much allows you to activates different types of song depending on how many melodies that you do have. So the melodies are going to be those bars that you see right there. There's 15 bars, and you can just keep increasing by just doing the notes that you see on top of your character. You see those symbols that keep appearing, which is just, it tells you what ability that you should be using in order to increase your melody. Like for example, that it tells you should do basic attack. If you do the basic attack, you will get that video effect that allows you to increase your melody by 1. That is nimble dance, it increases the melody. Nimble dance increases my melody. And just keep doing that in order to keep increasing all of your melodies. That's pretty much how you do it. Depending on how many of them that you do have, you are going to have different types of properties, not only with your basic attack, but you're also going to have different properties with all of the abilities with your ultimate ability. Because there's going to be 3 part of the ultimate ability, 3 songs that you can perform depending on how many melodies that you do have. And you can also have a damage increase of your basic attack depending on how many melodies that you do have. For example, if you're in the green area, which is just going to be the stage 1 of this the ultimate ability, you will be doing the 1.5 times damage multiplier with the basic attack. If you go into the yellow, that you're going to see that your basic attack is going to be a little bit different. So it means that your basic attack will be doing increased damage from 1.5 to 3 times damage. So that's a lot, that's a big damage increase. However, if you go into the red, you're going to see that your basic attack will turn red, and it will increase your damage multiplier from 3 to 6.5. That is where you're going to see the biggest DPS from this character, because 6.5 times damage on the basic attack, I do believe is the strongest basic attack in the game. The highest was the Fatrix at 6.1, this one 6.5. The only problem is that you need 11 melodies in order to increase it, in order to get to that point. So 11 melodies is a lot. So even though you can just get theoretically the strongest basic attack in the entire game in terms of damage output, it's still not necessarily good because it requires a lot of setup to get to that point. And the ultimate ability does have a timer, so if you're not fast enough, it increases your melody all the way to 11. You're not going to get the increased damage from your basic attack. And to top it all off, whenever you activate any of the 3 songs of your ultimate ability, is going to cost you, it's going to cost you melody count. So for example, if I activate the first ultimate ability, I have 0 melodies from 2 that I had before. So here's the thing. The only 2 things that you're going to see is either you're going to see this basic attack increase only if you want to do the highest DPS possible, but at that point just use another character, or just keep using the ultimate ability that grants you benefit. And honestly speaking, those are the best one that you can just get with this character. The reason I just mentioned before a little bit about this crystal just giving the song buffs of all the songs, if you throw down a singing crystal, if you activate the ultimate ability, the singing crystal is just going to get like a same version of this ultimate ability, pretty much like the same version as the ultimate ability without the class gem. So even though it can grant you like a really good benefit, and not only if you just activate this song, and if you stand in the radius of the song, you will get stacked from both this singing crystal and your ultimate ability. So for example, if you do have the movement speed increase, which is this one, you can get the movement speed increase from the singing crystal if you're inside, and also you get the movement speed increase from the actual ultimate ability, which is very nice. But it has the same problem as the Luna Lancer's Blessing of the Moon ultimate ability, is that it can grant you a little bit of extra stats only when you're inside the radius. And yeah, I wouldn't say it's good with the singing crystal. So for the most part, the singing crystal is just going to be like an instant damage ability. You're barely going to use it for damage increase or for the buffs from the ultimate ability. Now, I will be mentioning all 3 ultimate abilities that you can just activate with this. Just going to briefly mention, and yeah, just see how they work out. So the first song is just going to be the Jubilant song, which is just going to be the movement speed buff song. I'm going to be only explaining the ultimate ability with the class gem ability, well, the Jubilant song with the class gem ability, because this is extremely good. I don't think a lot of people understand how good this actually is. This could mean that the character could technically be among the best in dungeon grinding in the entire game. But the only problem is, like I just mentioned before, the damage multiplier being so low. So it's very dependent on you just having really high stats. And not only that, the ultimate ability costs a lot of energy, so you need energy regeneration on ring or weapon or fist in order to just maintain that movement speed buff, because it's a plus 50%. 50% movement speed buff is the same movement speed buff that you do get with the Neon Ninja Shadow Flip. That is pretty ridiculous, considering that the Neon Ninja Shadow Flip is known by many to be like what makes the Neon Ninja the fastest character in the entire game for dungeon grinding, because on-demand 50% movement speed buff is insane, and considering that this character can also get it, it means that this character can actually reach the same amount of movement speed as the Neon Ninja, without counting, you know, the subclass of this particular character, which I'll get more into that in a little bit, because the subclass is also pretty insane. But yeah, this character has an on-demand 50% movement speed buff, making this character among the highest movement speed character in the entire game, and it is very, very nice. And you can activate it whenever you want, because the ultimate ability has a really short cooldown and a really long duration, and as long as you have energy, you can easily just maintain that movement speed buff 100% of the time, which is just incredibly powerful. So that is pretty much the only insane good thing about this character, is that movement speed buff. If you have enough stats that you can one-shot with either this or with the basic attack with Arcane Emblem, it means that you can just make this character really, really good. Like, for example, you can do something like this and just throw these two abilities really quickly. Even though I messed it up a little bit, you can technically just do that and just activate both abilities at the same time and do a somewhat decent burst damage of 4.5, which is, I do believe, more than enough to even kill world bosses in Uber 10 with max stats. So this character can pretty much work really well as an endgame dungeon grinder because of that movement speed buff. Then it's going to be like the Peaceful Song. The Peaceful Song is just going to be the second part of the ultimate ability, which is going to be tied to just giving you health and health regeneration. Like every single second you're going to heal like like 50% of your HP or 20% of your HP every single second for the duration of the Peaceful Song, which is just insane to think about. And then if we move on, is going to be the other one, which is just going to be the Battle Song, which the Battle Song just gives you attack speed and critical damage, which in my opinion, even though it is the one that costs the most amount of melodies to cast, it's still going to be like the weakest one out of all of them. So yeah, that is in my opinion the weakest one, the Battle Song, because it can do damage, but the damage seems to be somewhat inconsistent. But it's going to be there. It's just going to increase your damage output for your critical damage, and also is going to give you attack speed to not only yourself but all nearby players within the radius. But in my opinion, you're barely going to utilize that one. For the most part, you're going to just utilize the movement speed buff for dungeon grinding and just increase your movement speed by quite a lot. Excuse the lag, but the Trove PTS is just all sorts of lag and messed up. So yeah, this character is just mainly right now, as of right now, going to be geared towards low portals, dungeon grinding at end game, and low delving. That's the only thing that I see this character being you know, at its strongest. Aside from that, I don't see this character being really good for mid to like early mid game for dungeon grinding. I don't see this character being useful for endgame delving, and I don't see this character being useful for Leviathans. Like, I only see this character being useful for dungeon grinding, endgame only, and also I see this character being only useful for low portals. So for example, if you have like a 30 KPR bard, you can use this character really effectively for something like UA topside grinding. You can also just fully utilize this character for low delving, because crowd control seems to be pretty decent. And if you pull all enemies towards you, you can just hit them all with the basic attack. Really nice, and you can just kill them all one shot really easily. And with all of that, you can activate Path Painter alongside the 50% movement speed buff, and you can easily just move this character incredibly fast. Like, let me tell you, the movement speed is... This might be like the fastest character for the majority of the time for low delving, because the 50% movement speed buff is going to stack with Path Painter, which in turn is just going to make your movement speed 110%, if I do recall correctly. And it is just insane. It's a lot of movement speed that you do get with this. So yeah, that's where I see this character as of right now, day one version of the Bard. And yeah, that's pretty much all of my opinions with the Bard. It's a solid, it's a fun character, don't get me wrong. Fun character, new character, is always hype. But if you want to put it into comparison with all the other characters, it's not going to be the best character out there because of the really low damage multiplier, high energy cost, and not only that, in order to do the highest potential DPS, you need a lot of setup. It does have a really good movement speed buff, and the utility seems to be really good. But before I go, I forgot to mention about the subclass ability. The subclass ability on this class pretty much gives you all of the songs of the ultimate ability, like a mini version of all of the songs of the ultimate ability. So it's just going to give you, when attacking, you are going to get the Jubilant, then Peaceful, and then the Battle Song. Jubilant is the movement speed, Peaceful is the healing one, and Battle Song is just going to be the critical damage attack speed one. So whenever you hit an enemy with any type of ability, you're going to get like a shield, pretty much indicating all of those buff. The buff, I do believe, is just going to last for, I do believe it's 9 seconds. I do believe 3 seconds per song, and you're going to get a bunch of different stats. But the most important thing is just going to be the Jubilant one, again, the movement speed one. The movement speed buff that you do get not only has a really short cooldown, so yeah, as you clearly can see, I already have it again. The cooldown seems to be really short, the proc chance seems to be really high, and to top it all off, the movement speed seems to be really good. The movement speed that you can get is, I do believe it's going to be 2% per tier, all the way to 15% at tier 7, which is just going to be really nice, because if I do recall correctly, you start off with, I do believe it's like 1%, and it's just going to be like increasing 2% every single tier, all the way to like max tier, which is 15% more movement speed for 3 seconds with low cooldown and high proc chance. It's just really good. It's just going to be similar important to like Vampire Vanquisher. To put it into perspective, Vampire Vanquisher gives you not only healing, it also gives you movement speed, and it also has a really high proc chance. This is going to be similar to something like Vampire Vanquisher, giving you, not only gives you a little bit extra damage, it gives you a lot of movement speed, because 15% movement speed is quite a lot. For those who don't know, like 50% movement speed can literally just mean that if you do have 200 plus movement speed, which is very achievable, it means that this subclass can give you plus 30 movement speed or more, and that is pretty insane considering that it does stack with any percentage movement speed buff. It's really good. This subclass is probably going to be like the main reason why you want to increase this character to, you know, to at least 30,000 powering, so you can actually just get that movement speed buff from the subclass, because that subclass is going to be the new best subclass for dungeon grinding, because 30 movement speed is too good to pass out. Let me tell you, 30 movement speed is a lot. That's like losing Pyrades right there, or losing the allies, which again is quite a lot of movement speed loss right there. But yeah, that's pretty much everything regarding this character. This character is just good. It's pretty decent. It's not that it's strong, because it isn't. It's just that it is a fun, interesting class that has a pretty interesting place in this game. This might be like the new end game dungeon grinding character for people who want to just don't want to use the Dino Tamer or Neon Ninja. This might be like a new option for those. And yeah, I might see people use this character if they're in the end game, because it's a lot of movement speed. 50% movement speed buff is a lot. So I can see a lot of people just rocking this character with energy regeneration ring or energy regeneration movement speed weapon, and just go with a full movement speed build on this character, because at end game you can easily just one shot up to world bosses with these two abilities combined. So I mean, I see this character being used. It's going to be a really fun dungeon grinding character. That's where I feel. That's my opinion on this character right now. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. As always, sorry for this long video, but I wanted to explain this character to its fullest as of right now, day 1. Everything is subject to change, so keep checking on the forums. I'm going to keep you noted on the Discord server, so make sure to join in on the Discord server. Please make sure to leave your power rank platform region inside the Discord server, so you will be assigned to one of the roles. And yeah, that's going to be everything for me. Thank you once again for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and that's going to be everything for me. Take care and keep on hunting, everyone. And just try out the bard for yourself. Just give me your opinions on the character in the comment section down below.